Tonight on News 5 Live, Patrick Farber was wanted in connection with domestic violence charges, but his accuser withdraws her allegations. Foreign Affairs responds to detention of passengers on Copa flight, and Ministry of Education explains why some teachers do not have to test for COVID before returning to school. Details of these stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call OnNet, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link. She taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made. Then taps the split the bill button, where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier.
The Caribbean Awards for Excellence.
I have a real responsibility to the people who played in us.
How extraordinarily rich is the talent in our region.
It is a motivator to keep going.
When an individual develops blindness, the eyes that are blind, not the brain.
This was the time to focus on biomedicine.
The Caribbean Excellence Award has completed the crown.
Anthony N. Sabga Awards, Caribbean Excellence.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Thursday, January 20th. I am Annalena Polonio. In what is perhaps one of the most shocking political developments in Belizean history, Today, opposition leader Patrick Faber became a wanted man sought by the Belize Police Department following a report made by his fiancée on Wednesday afternoon. The formal complaint filed by Dr. Shanika Arnold with the Domestic Violence Unit is in connection with 2 incidents that occurred at the couple's residence in Lords Bank Village. The second altercation, which took place on January 19th, reportedly involved the use of a hammer, resulting in injuries being inflicted on Dr. Arnold. The complainant, accompanied by attorney David Morales, visited the Queen Street Police Station yesterday, where her statement was given. At Newstime, Faber, who has a history of allegations pertaining to domestic abuse, is yet to turn himself in. Late this afternoon, Commissioner of Police Chester Williams held a press brief during which he outlined what has transpired since the report was filed at Eastern Division. According to the Compol, attorney Richard Dickey Bradley has indicated that he will be accompanying the once again embattled leader of the United Democratic Party when he surrenders himself to police.
Yesterday, Ms. Arnold visited Domestic Violence Unit in Belize City, and she made a complaint against the leader of the opposition, Mr. Patrick Faber. And the report is one of a domestic nature, where she is alleging that Mr. Faber had caused damage to her laptop and had also assaulted her as she was about to leave their home in the Lords Bank area. Police have since issued a warrant in the first instance for the arrest of Mr. Faber, and at this time he is currently being sought by the police so that he can be charged and taken before the court. The fact is that we have obtained a statement from her in which she requested court action, and so we will proceed with the matter before the courts. And if she decides later on that she do not wish the matter to go any further, then we would suggest that she goes to the court and do that, and not through the police. The fact, again, with these domestic issues, we tend to at times downplay them or underplay them, and then it turned out to be worse at the end of the day. So in order for us to make sure that should something more serious happen later on down the road, we can always say that, yes, the lady came to us, we did our part, but then she went to the courts and she did XYZ, and our hands are clean. I know that Mr. Dickey Bradley had called me earlier and said that Mr. Faber had contacted him to have a meeting with him, and that he would turn Mr. Faber into the police this afternoon. We are still awaiting for that to happen. Nonetheless, the police did visit the home of Mr. Faber in Ladyville, and he was not there. And we are looking in other places where we believe he might be in order to locate him.
While an informal report was made to police on Monday, the events that unfolded 2 days later, which resulted in Dr. Arnold's injury, as well as the destruction of her laptop, has led to charges being brought against the leader of the opposition. Faber is facing charges of assault and damage to property. According to Compol Williams, there was a report made on Monday, but that was for future reference only. Wednesday's statement included both incidents.
I think that there was an incident that took place on Monday, and an unofficial report was made. And at that particular juncture, the complainant had requested that she didn't want anything just for future reference. And when she gave her official report yesterday, she also encapsulated what took place on Monday. So she made her report yesterday was in respect to what took place yesterday and what took place on Monday. There is allegation that hammer was used, and she claimed that Mr. Faber had hit her on her hands with a hammer, causing her pain. And yes, she did use his vehicle to go to the station to make a report, and I guess that was the best available vehicle for her to have been able to escape and go to the police station. Yes, he will be facing charge for damage to property in respect to the laptop as well. We're not going to do anything to embarrass the leader of the opposition. We're going to treat him at the level of courtesy that we can afford to him. I know for a fact that the charges have been prepared, and they're just awaiting for him to go in. And once he goes in, he'll be served with the charges and go straight to court. It's a matter for the court to decide whether or not they're going to grant him bail. But we're not going to do nothing to try and embarrass him further than what is already taking place. So that is how the matter is going to be dealt with.
Since the issue made headlines on Wednesday, it is reported that Dr. Arnold has come under intense pressure not to proceed with legal action against her fiancé. According to Commissioner Williams, pressure is being brought upon the alleged victim to recant her statement. Attempting to dissuade her constitutes a criminal offense, says Williams.
I know for a fact that all day yesterday and today, she has been under extreme pressure from many different quarters, trying to convince her not to pursue the matter. And she has so far stood her grounds that she is going to pursue the matter. And so we go with what she wants. Yes, should there be anything to suggest that someone is trying to cause her harm or to force her to do certain things that she don't want to, let me remind the public that the criminal code do provide an offense for attempt to suppress a witness. And so anyone who approaches a witness and try to convince or to threaten or to persuade that witness not to go to court commits an offense. It's a matter for her to report. If she feels uncomfortable with anyone approaching her and asking her to suppress her evidence, then such person can be arrested by law.
As we mentioned earlier, party leader Patrick Faber has come under attack and intense public scrutiny in the past based on similar allegations made against him. In 2021, Faber was removed as the parliamentary leader of the United Democratic Party when a video surfaced online in which he charged at a door in a fit of rage during an incident involving the mother of his child. That incident resulted in a move within the UDP to have Faber recalled as leader of the party. While he narrowly held on to the leadership of the party, Faber worked overtime to heal the deeply fractured political organization. With this latest round of scandal, it is yet to be determined what course of action will now be taken by the party's executive. Late this evening, Dr. Shanika Arnold took to her social media page to address the issue openly. She describes the situation as, quote, misunderstanding, unquote, and says that it was the couple's intent to resolve the matter privately. She goes on to say in her post, quote, while we can assure the public that the rumors are inaccurate, we are at this time unwilling to disclose further private information in an attempt to protect me from any further public scrutiny. I appreciate that Patrick's #1 priority at this time is my well-being and the well-being of our entire family, unquote. Following Arnold's statement, UDP leader Patrick Faber also issued a statement of his own, echoing what was shared by Dr. Arnold in her Facebook post. Faber goes on to say, quote, while we have had hope that such a matter in the public domain could be avoided, we realize regrettably that the inferences and insinuations deriving from the visit to the Queen Street police station yesterday have now made it necessary for the situation to be publicly addressed, unquote. Even as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was welcoming Costa Rica Foreign Minister to Belize on Tuesday, on that same Copa flight were 37 persons who were flagged at the PGIA for immigration offenses. Today, the Ministry of Immigration officially revealed details surrounding those passengers who were refused leave to land in Belize and must be returned to Panama. Tonight, we can confirm that all preparations have been made with respective authorities for these individuals to be returned to the last port of embarkation. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
The introduction of Copa Airlines to Belize has been welcomed as a boom for tourism, but along with this comes the risk of South Americans attempting to circumvent immigration rules. On Tuesday on board a passenger aircraft, 35 Venezuelans, 1 Moroccan, and 1 Dominican Republic national were flagged at the Philip Goldson International Airport. 21 were men, 9 females, and 7 children. But it was a one-way ticket to Belize from Panama that was the first red flag that caught the attention of immigration officials, not to mention fake hotel reservations.
No return ticket or cancellation of tickets upon arrival in Belize. Little or no funds to sustain themselves. Bogus hotel reservations when the hotels were contacted. Because they were inadmissible and in accordance with standard practice, notices of forbidden landing were served on the manager of Copa Airlines. Consequently, these 37 persons were boarded on Copa Airlines flight to be returned to Panama.
But their return to Panama via the same Copa flight did not run smoothly.
Whilst on board the flight, the national of the Dominican Republic objected to being returned to Panama and became disruptive. He started inciting the other persons who were being returned, and they became unruly. As a result of this, the pilot refused to transport them to Panama as they presented a security risk.
Since there is no detention facility for immigration violators, the adults were taken to and held at the Queen Street Police Station, while the minors were transported to the Dorothy Menzies Children's Home on the advice of the Department of Human Services.
What is very disturbing in this situation, and the reason that I believe you guys are here, is because there is some serious human rights violations which are happening in this situation. First and foremost, my clients have informed me that they have, since yesterday, they were given food once. Denied water and not given food, and only given food once at about 9:30 last night. They have been treated inhumanely, have been subjected to cruel and inhumane punishment. Treatment which does not comply with simple human rights standards.
A team of officers were deployed to the PGIA to maintain law and order and to protect our immigration officers and to assist with the transportation of the persons. Before leaving the PGIA, the detainees were served food and water at approximately 7 p.m. The 21 males and 4 females were escorted to the Queen Street Police Station. The other 5 females and 7 children were escorted to the Dorothy Menzies Children's Home.
With the next Copa flight scheduled for Saturday, January 22nd, the planned departure on Wednesday was not as simple. Venezuelans are not allowed to transit Guatemala due to the recently imposed visa requirements, so that option was ruled out, and TAG Airlines also refused to transport the group to Panama. So on Wednesday afternoon, a meeting held between Belize immigration officials and principals from Copa Airlines charted a course of action to return these persons to Panama. Minister of Immigration Eamon Courtney breaks down what will happen.
As is required by Section 35 of the Immigration Act, Copa representatives agreed that they would arrange for the following: hotel accommodation, food and water, return flight, and police guard. Copa also agreed to request permission from the Guatemalan authorities for the national from the Dominican Republic who would not need a visa to be returned to Panama on TAG Airlines before and apart from the others, so as to avoid a repeat of the situation that occurred on the 18th January. The Copa agents also requested that the Dominican Republic national be escorted by police and immigration to Panama. Permission is also being sought by TAG for the return of the Moroccan to Panama by TAG Airlines via Guatemala. All these detainees are being transported as we speak to the Biltmore Hotel, where they will remain under guard until they have left Belize. All expenses will be met by Copa.
While the country from which the group originated was not disclosed, News 5 has been reliably informed that they got to Panama from Colombia. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Diplomatic representatives from the government of Venezuela interviewed their nationals on Wednesday. UNHCR had also requested access to the detained persons, which was granted today. During the press conference held by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it was revealed that visa requirements have been imposed for Venezuelan nationals in several Central American countries. Belize has had long-standing bilateral relations with Venezuela, so Minister Eamon Courtney was asked if Belizean authorities are considering visa requirements as well.
I believe because of the irregular flow of migrants, Guatemala has now imposed a visa requirement for Venezuelan and Ecuadorians going into Guatemala. Mexico, tomorrow I believe it is, Mexico will now impose a visa requirement for Venezuelans. Because of these hurdles, persons are finding other ways to go north. We are in cooperation with our international partners who track these things and who look at flows, closely monitoring the flow of persons into and through Belize. As a result of this particular flight, we will have to have far more detailed discussions with the authorities in Panama. We will also have to have deeper discussions with the authorities from COPA. The government of Belize, in cooperation with our partners and in accordance with law, intends to fight to the best of our ability against the irregular flow of migrants through Belize.
Any indication as it relates to imposing a visa requirement for these persons from Venezuela and these other countries in the south who may want to venture north, like you said? Is there any talks in the making at this point?
Well, first of all, it has to be driven by data. And the director, in fact, just printed the data for the COPA flights. Remember, the visa will apply not to I'm coming from Panama, but to your nationality. So we have to look and study the nationality of persons who are coming and look at those who we can conclude are irregular.
The Minister of Tourism and the Director of the Belize Tourism Board also addressed concerns over the COPA Airlines passengers that have been denied entry during the BTIA annual general meeting.
I know that there have been some challenges. In fact, we have had meetings with COPA, with the Immigration Department, with Aero Dispatch to discuss some of the issues. But one of the core thing is that there is a lot of human trafficking coming from the south, and that creates a problem. And so that is part of the issue why the COPA flight is screened so thoroughly. So we are waiting to get all the details from the Immigration Department.
We have had significant discussions with Immigration and in Cabinet about the human trafficking issue. The US government has flagged it, and so it is a national security issue for all of us. And even though it is kind of problematic for what appears to be people coming in for tourism purposes, many of those people have not come to Belize for tourism purposes, and they disappear in the system. And so we're trying to put the controls in with the Immigration Department, with our partners over at COPA and in the Panamanian government, for us to try to control that level of entry into the country.
Coming up, call center worker gunned down while working online. We will have the details when we return.
Digi, the premier name in voice and data, is also the country's leading provider of innovative services and solutions for small business and enterprise. At DigiBusiness, we offer solutions, tools, and applications to support your business needs. Reduce costs, improve efficiency, and excel in a changing world where no idea is too big and no task is too small. From technology advising to design implementation and management, our team of qualified solution sales and specialists can develop a reliable and robust infrastructure, allowing you to spend more time on what matters most, your business. Visit us online to explore how DigiBusiness innovative products and solutions can help your business reduce costs and improve efficiency.
Keep your business running efficiently with computer products and accessories from Cellular World. We are the largest electronics stores in Belize, providing business solutions from trusted brands including Dell, HP, Lenovo, and Samsung, just to name a few. Our range of business PCs and electronics include desktop computers, laptops, desktop monitors, mouses, battery backups, smart TVs, and computer accessories that are backed up by warranties to keep your business always running smoothly. Call or visit us at any of our 5 Cellular World locations in Belize City, Belmopan, or San Pedro, and let our knowledgeable team help you to find the right solutions. Cellular World, low prices, more choices.
Taking its name from the venerable father of the nation, the George Price Highway stretches 77 miles from Belize City to Benqueviejo. Originally built in the 1930s, this cross-country highway system is the artery that links Belize to Central America at the western border with Guatemala. That connection facilitates overland trade, supporting Belize's economic development. Winding its way across the scenic countryside, the George Price Highway, from Roaring Creek to Esperanza, has been fully reconstructed to meet international standards, with particular emphasis on road safety. A shorter and hassle-free commute is best enjoyed when everyone obeys the traffic laws. To reduce the number and frequency of road traffic accidents, it means that a seatbelt must be worn at all times and the speed limit observed when traveling along the highway. It also means that pedestrians must use sidewalks and crosswalks where available. Buses should only board and discharge passengers at a designated bus stop. Road safety is everyone's responsibility. It begins with you.
There was a senseless murder in Belize City last night just off Mahogany Street. A customer care worker was online and about to wrap up a shift when he was shot in the head inside his home. Someone snuck up on him and shot him through a window. It's a callous attack on a hardworking man, and a motive is yet to be ascertained. News 5's Ani Cayetano reports.
A call center employee working from home was shot and killed on Wednesday night shortly before his shift ended. 35-year-old Septimus Ritchie, a resident of Electric Avenue, was on his computer carrying out his assignments when a gunman walked up the short flight of stairs, shoved his arm through an open window, and fired a single shot.
This was a direct target. So the person that went to do this had to know that he was in that certain position at that time. We believe that he knew his assailant, and I know that investigators have canvassed the area and they have picked up some very useful information, and hopefully we could make a detention and probably an arrest very soon in this latest murder.
The deadly incident happened around 7:30 p.m. Richie's wife, we understand, had just asked her son to close the front door when a loud bang was heard. When they went over to where he was to ask if he heard the noise, they reportedly found him bleeding from a gunshot wound to the head.
Police went to Carhushna Memorial, where they saw the lifeless body of Septimus Richie, 35 years, customer care worker. No? Their initial investigation revealed that he was at home working on his computer on Electric Avenue when someone approached the window and fired a single shot that caught him to the head. No? His body was transported where it now awaits a post-mortem examination.
From all accounts, Richie never bothered anyone. Neighbors described him as someone who kept to himself and his family. Why someone would want him dead is anyone's guess.
Like I said, it would appear that it was direct, so hopefully the motive wouldn't be far-fetched or too long to find out.
Was Mr. Richie in any altercations recently to police knowledge?
Not to my knowledge.
Police are now turning to surveillance footage that may have been captured on a nearby camera. It is their hope that what was recorded around the time of the incident would be sufficient for them to break the case.
Whenever these crimes take place, we don't only review the official camera that we have in that zone, but we even canvass the area to see if other neighbors might have surveillance. It takes a little while because, of course, if we find anything, we would want it to be retracted from the official technicians that can testify in the court in the event we need to give it as evidence. So usually, if they have any findings, they would indicate to me what their findings are. So yes, we do have people viewing the cameras.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isane Cayetano.
Tourism stakeholders who make up the Belize Tourism Industry Association today took part in their 36th annual general meeting. The event was held virtually in tandem with COVID protocols. With chapters in all major destinations across Belize, the Chief Tourism Advocacy Group has been lobbying for the betterment of the industry since it formed in 1985. Marian Ali listened in today and filed the following report on where the BTIA is heading in 2022.
The financial statements for the BTIA's last fiscal year from August 2020 to July 2021 reflect COVID times. Treasurer Renaldo Guerrero shared the details.
See that 2020 we had revenues of 370,000 versus 172,000 in 2021. What made a big difference there is that we had revenues from Destination Belize. We had which was 167,000, while 2021 we were only showing 28,000. However, most of this is for previous year income that we ended up getting in 2021. We're still a big way from getting back to where we were.
BTIA President Stuart Crone shared how the association managed to survive the COVID onslaught up to now.
By December of 2020, the pandemic-induced loss of virtually all our revenue sources had left our finances, this is the BTIA finances I'm talking about, left our finances in shambles and forced us to dismiss all 3 of our staff members. We were down but not quite out. The strong advocacy campaign initiated under my able predecessor, Melanie Paz, never stopped. as your board and executive committee lobbied strongly and successfully for low interest loans to the industry from DFC and renegotiation with the private banks. We supported policies that helped thousands of laid off employees receive government assistance. At BTI headquarters in Belize City, we went into survival mode, slashing expenses and focusing our efforts on a narrow set of priorities, primarily how to revive tourism in the face of the deadliest pandemic in a century.
Guest speaker, Minister of Tourism Anthony Mahler, spoke about the partnership between government and the members of the industry.
When we took over government as a result of an overwhelming mandate by the people, we were at the tail end of a year that would see a 70% contraction in overall tourism performance globally, as well as in Belize. We inherited an unprecedented state of affairs in our sector. We found a private sector that became our true partner. Together, we were able to ignite the recovery process for tourism. Together, we were able to lead economic recovery efforts for the country during these difficult times.
During the meeting, 2 executive members were re-elected to serve. Reynaldo Guerrero will continue as treasurer and Osmani Salas will be second vice president. Reporting for News 5, I'm Marian Ali.
Belize's tourism industry, which was the first and most severely impacted sector during the pandemic, is rejuvenating to where it was in pre-COVID days, making what Belize offers even more attractive to visitors. Today, on the occasion of the 36th Annual General Meeting for the Belize Tourism Industry Association, Minister of Tourism Anthony Mahler shared his ministry's plan to take tourism through 2022.
In 2022, we have begun to engage an even more aggressive campaign to support the recovery and to serve as a catalyst for this evolution. We have scheduled a series of groundbreaking marketing initiatives to further engage not only North American market, but also to reinvigorate our European market and to tap into the Mexican and extended Latin American markets. We also will be rolling out new infrastructure projects around the country, including a revamp of the ATM Cave experience, the Belize City Urban Experience, destination improvements, and a new wave of community cultural tourism trails, a culinary tourism product development program, the rollout of the IDB grants program for tourism businesses, and the repair and enhancement of the Placencia Pier, a festival tourism program, a program to boost both nautical and private aviation tourism, to name a few.
Now turning to regional news, the Barbados Labour Party, led by the Prime Minister Mia Mottley, was victorious in the Republic's general election on Wednesday. The Barbados Labour Party defeated all its political opponents in a clean sweep to score its second victory at the polls with a historic 30-0 parliamentary seats victory. This is just months after Barbados became a republic, removed the Queen as head of state, and elected its first president. Known internationally for her outstanding leadership and personal charisma, PM Mottley addressed the people of Barbados at the party's headquarters. Here's an excerpt of that victory speech.
When we need to go back to the people, and when we need to be able to allow the people in whom power resides to make decisions about its future. It became clear to us that the ability to prepare this nation for the serious challenges that we will face in the next 10 to 15 years required that we give the people of this nation the option of choosing who it wanted to lead it into that process. We stand today on the morning of the 20th of January, confident that the people of this nation have spoken with one voice, decisively unanimously and clearly we want each and every one of us to thank the people of Barbados for the confidence that they continue to repose in us to be able to lead this country first to safety and then to prosperity.
Today, Foreign Minister Eamon Courtney congratulated Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley for her party's landslide win and return to office.
I think once again, Prime Minister Mottley showed us that she's a master politician. Anybody who calls an election more than a year and a half before it's due must have and win 30-0, must have a very good feel and touch for the pulse of the people. She has demonstrated that. We have very good relations with Barbados as a CARICOM member state, Commonwealth member state. We look forward to welcoming Prime Minister Mottley to Belize for the CARICOM Intersessional at the end of February. And more than congratulations are due to her.
After the break, the latest on hybrid learning and teacher COVID testing.
We have been a partner with SMART for over 10 plus years. We have a full SMART plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this SMART service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our SMART service, we pay an average of about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to SMART because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
SMART continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Belize.
New Year's is a time for us to make hearty resolutions that will help us better our lives, and then promptly forget about them. However, there are some resolutions we shouldn't forget about. Join us for our new series, 100%, where we'll be talking about being 100% in on things like our relationship with God, our spouses, finances, and more. Tune in at 10 a.m. right here on Channel 5 Belize.
Who offers the best mobile experience in Belize? You don't know? Well, The truth is, Digi, our national telecom, of course. Digi has the largest mobile LTE advanced network with over 96% countrywide coverage, offering the fastest mobile LTE data speeds at the most affordable rates with mobile plans that fit your lifestyle. The truth is, only Digi gives the ultimate mobile LTE experience. Visit your nearest Digi store to join the bigger, better network today. Digi, our national telecom. Visit us online at www.livedigi.com.
Today makes day 9 since a number of schools have been officially reopened to hybrid learning. It has been met with mixed reviews from parents and teachers, for which the Ministry of Education is aware. When the media caught up with Chief Executive Officer Diane Mejia, we asked for an update 2 weeks in.
Very definitely we see the effects of this Omicron spread right now. We do continue to see where there are reports of teachers and students who have contracted COVID, and so there are requests for classrooms to close. And by close, I mean shift to remote learning, right? So that's what's happening. If you have a teacher who is sick, then the class would move to distance learning, that sort of thing. It really is not a standard response because the situations are not standard. In some cases where the numbers of teachers who have gotten sick are so high that the school is unable to manage substitution, for example, then the entire school moves to remote learning for whatever the recommended period is. So that is something that we have been monitoring, we have been dealing with, and I guess it is to be expected. Now, there's that, and there is also the undeniable joy, the happiness of the students who are returning. You know, we have to really acknowledge both of these ends of the spectrum, where we're seeing students at all levels who are so excited to be back, teachers who are so happy that they're able to engage with their children.
Do teachers have to take a test to return to school? Reports reaching News 5 are that teachers have been returning to classrooms without having done any tests to confirm a negative COVID status. This has some parents frightened and upset, as children under the age of 12 are not vaccinated and could possibly be infected. But as we found out, the recently passed SI, which adjusts the quarantine period, does not allow teachers to return without a test.
We really need to be mindful of what the Ministry of Health and Wellness is saying right now, because it may not be practical or prudent to have everyone, especially when you're going through a spike as we are, it's not practical or prudent to have every person who is now recovering or has recovered from COVID take a test and get a negative result to return. So that's why our guidelines, we've been trying to share guidelines. We've been trying to work with the Ministry of Health and Wellness. So the information they send to us, we try to put forward for reminders for schools, support for parents, teachers, everyone. So the guidelines will say, for example, what the direction is. If you have if you have COVID, 10 days have passed, you are no longer symptomatic, you should be able to return to work. You do not necessarily need a negative test. If you continue to have symptoms, then my understanding is then you need to test, right? Because there are a few people who are persistent positives. Yeah. But for the most part, after 10 days, I think the nature of the Omicron variant is that it is more transmissible, but it also has a shorter life, right? So I think these are things which, you know, we get scared. We get nervous, right? But we need to continue to live in a way that is safe and responsible. Fear cannot make us irresponsible, right? Whether we're a parent or a teacher or, you know, a reporter, it doesn't matter. We need to be safe and responsible.
Earlier this week, a number of security school wardens were given their walking papers and replaced. The former school wardens cried foul, claiming that they were being politically victimized by the Briceño administration. The United Democratic Party, in the wake of the firings, issued a statement saying that 20 wardens from the Belize and Stand Creek districts were let go without any social support in place and called on intervention by the Special Envoy for Development of Families and Children, as well as the Minister of Education. Today, Education CEO Diane Mejia reiterated that there must be a cleanup of the school security warden program and that she is not focused on the noise in the market.
We are at a time when it's really critically important that we make sure that we have people that we can rely on. We have people that we know will be reporting to work, that we know we have people who will reflect discipline and responsibility and respect in all that they do. No one, I think, really wants to have their children exposed to elements that are disrespectful and you know, in any way unfavorable, right? So we have to really be careful. This is where we are. We continue to monitor, we continue to work. It's not an easy fix. And the time is now, because this is not about victimization. This is about our schools. This is about our children.
The opposition is saying that, yes, you all are getting rid of people, but you need people and it's political victimization. You're just hiring other people.
Well, I'm sure they're saying that, but we are working. You know, my job right here, Father of the Nation said, you have to be like Ramsey Mule sometimes. You put on your blinders and you stay focused on the work that you have to do. We have work to do. We don't have time to be paying attention to what everybody out there is saying. We are responsible for the education of our children, and we need to make sure that their environments are safe and secure. We need to do whatever it is that we can to provide as best we can.
A donation of sanitization supplies were symbolically handed over to the Ministry of Education from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at the House of Culture this morning. News 5's Dwayne Moody was there and files this report.
Over $180,000 worth of school cleaning and sanitation supplies were handed over to the Ministry of Education to be distributed to hundreds of schools across the country that have reopened to hybrid learning.
It was really exciting to be able to work with people who, you know, reached out, said, how can we help? We had an answer. We knew the sort of help that we needed, and they responded right away, so we were really grateful. Initially, we started off looking at primary schools. We were looking actively at saying, all right, so as we begin the return to hybrid, we know one of the things we need to work on is how can we support schools with supplies? We fully appreciate that schools have been working really hard. Principals, teachers, parents, the community, everyone has been chipping in to try to help the schools and support the schools with the supplies that they need. We know that even this donation, generous as it is not going to meet all the needs. It's not going to last forever, but it is a really big help, you know. It's a way to provide additional support.
The process started from September of last year and took about 3 months to see it realized. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints reached out to the ministry, and after looking at the needs, the value of the donation is almost 5 times the initial amount. While the donation comes in the form of sanitation supplies to the education system, the church has supported Belize with wheelchairs and medical supplies to health facilities such as the KHMH, vaccines to the country, as well as furniture for schools.
Caring for the poor and the needy is a foundational belief of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, built on the principles of personal responsibility, community support, self-reliance, and sustainability. Humanitarian efforts are designed to give individuals and communities the tools they need to improve their own circumstances in permanent and meaningful ways. Brothers and sisters, these kind donations are possible through the generous contributions of members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Members throughout the world come together, particularly on the first Sunday of every month, to fast for personal and collective reasons. Fast offerings and generous contributions of members of the church enables the church to take care of needy members and to fund the church's humanitarian efforts throughout the world.
Today, reps from a couple of schools were symbolically handed the supplies. CEO in the Ministry of Education, Deanne Mejia, breaks down how the distribution is going to take place through the district education centers countrywide.
We had put out for the schools a supplies request form, and up to yesterday, we had 339 submissions. So, there has to be some way of documenting who gets the supplies, who needs the supplies. So we're using here the support of our district education centers. As I said, we have the data tracked. Those 339 schools are schools across the country. So the master list is shared with the district centers so they know these are the schools that you need to get to, and then they are supporting us in the delivery, right? So it's more than just, the symbolic handing over was, here is a bag, but those schools today will get more bags than that. The numbers will differ depending on the numbers indicated, right? How many classrooms, how many students.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Earlier this week, the government of Belize was able to procure 255 scholarships through a grant from the Central American Bank for Economic Integration, also known as CABE. But as we found out today, the scholarships are not going to be used for tuition purposes. Now, we have reported that the Ministry of Education is working on a free education program in Southside Belize City. And CEO Diane Mejia confirmed that the grant money will be used to assist 25 students per year for 5 years, but in a different way.
The financing that will come through CABE will be given to 25 students per year for 5 years. So it's 25, and the students will be given the amount that's allotted is $1,000 per student per year, and it is to be used on everything else that they need for school support. So this is uniforms, shoes, books, materials, school feeding programs, right? So this CABE grant money, this initiative is going to begin as part of our Education Upliftment Project. We will begin this engagement with the 4 schools in the South Side that we've been talking about. This is a part of our getting started, because these are also the schools where we will begin the free tuition, the free education rollout. So since the students will already be benefiting from the free education program, then this money is going to support them in the other needs. And it's 25 students per year for the next 5 years. So if you start off in first form, you are supported for first form, second form, third form, fourth form, and there is a 5th year, which could be, for example, your first year at junior college.
Just ahead, more labor woes at the Port of Belize. But first, here's a weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
Child Development Foundation, or CDF as we are popularly known, has been partnering with Social Security Board since 2015. Social Security Board supports our child protection initiatives. They support us to build capacity for teachers and parents to identify the indicators of abuse. In particular, they support our counseling center so that we can provide trauma-focused counseling therapy to children who have been abused. Social Security has also supported our prevention program, the Rise Girls program, to help us to equip young women who are in primary and secondary school to understand more about adolescent development and also to build good self-esteem and to build safe social networks.
Over the past 6 years, we have established a partnership with the Social Security Board. It has assisted us in addressing some of their social welfare needs and health care needs of our older persons, specifically in Belize City, San Ignacio, and Belmopan. We have had the opportunity to do home visits with our geriatrician and physiotherapists. We distribute meals to them. We also have that opportunity to interact with them, to observe them. There are needs that may be identified. If we can address those, we do so.
Social Security has been one of our biggest donors throughout the years, and the services that they provide to us is basically financial, and it helps with a lot of things here at the center, like bills and groceries. The center is a drop-in center for the mentally ill, elderly, homeless, deportees. They come here, they take a shower, they get their breakfast, they get their lunch, and they also do recreational stuff here at the center. They can watch television, they listen to music, they play games, and they just, interact with each other, because here it's like a family.
We all know the importance of running water and proper drainage in your home. That's why we rely on a fully functional plumbing system. At Belize, we have all the plumbing supplies and accessories you need. Our pipes, fittings, valves, and adapters are made from durable quality materials. Remember to wash your hands with clean running water from your faucet. We have kitchen and bathroom faucets in various styles and finishes. Whether for installation or maintenance, make sure to use recommended PVC cleaner, solvent, and Teflon tape to fix or prevent leaks. We also have the tools to get the job done. For all your residential, commercial, or industrial plumbing needs, shop at Belize. Celebrating 75 years of quality and savings.
Bringing people together has always been SMART's mission and passion. That is why we are proud to have built a locally independent quality network from the ground up that spans the country with over 100 sites. We continue to add more affordable mobile data packages, broadband speeds, and voice services to meet your personal and business needs. SMART has set the standard of true competition with the most competitive prices on all services offered. We invite and welcome you to join the SMART family, where the value for your dollar matters. SMART will continue bringing new technologies, more affordable prices, network expansions, and people together. SMART, bringing people together.
Stevedores at the Port of Belize Limited are once again at odds with their employers. Several stevedores engaged in a sit-out outside the compound this morning while they were supposed to be working a ship. These stevedores were not happy with a hardline decision taken by the port's management. For context, after the resignation of General Foreman, those two vacancies became available. Additionally, vacancies were identified for an Assistant General Foreman post, a gangway man, and 2 cane operators. So, at a foreman meeting inside the Christian Workers Union headquarters on Wednesday, persons were identified and names were recommended to the management of PBL via email. With no response from PBL, this morning those 6 men showed up for work but were reportedly denied entry into the compound. As a result, that group staged a sit-out. Evan Mose-Hyde is president of the Christian Workers Union.
Amongst the recommendations from our General Foreman involved a bit of housekeeping. A couple of the positions for General Foreman have been opened up, and we put the names of the people who were to fill these slots. Additionally, the general foreman had a concern about the number of drivers, and so they met and discussed that they wanted to draw back on Mr. Raymond Rivers and Mr. Sean Middleton, who had resigned last year, but because that's the skill they possess, they wanted to have them back. And they wanted 2 slots, which were, we had 2 substitutes who unfortunately one retired and one passed. And so they were recommended for 2 other people to fill those gaps to make it to 28. And so those names were provided. We cannot understand, and we have written in response to Port, because they have told us now that they are rejecting that. We have simply said we don't understand why, all things considered, you would be so inflexible with this, because this is not a position from CWU or myself or even a negotiating team for that matter. This is a position coming from the real shot callers of the stevedore or workforce, the general foreman. And this is a position that they have put, and the recommendations are based on safety and performance, because they are the ones out there. So we don't really understand why they would want to pick a fight when we understand that we are already on the edge of a cliff.
In their response to the recommendations for the filling of the 6 vacancies, PBL sent a letter accepting those for the 2 general foremen and the substitutes. They denied the recommendations for crane operators, namely Raymond Rivers and Sean Middleton. This morning's sit-out took place in the midst of an already tense and strained relationship between the Port of Belize Limited and stevedores. While it has not made the news, negotiations between both parties on the separation package for sugar has once again reached an impasse.
Our members voted on November 24th unanimously for industrial action. Our response to that at the time, considering that we had December, is to say, hey, we immediately got in touch with the Prime Minister's office and said, we need to update you. Our members have reached a point where the negotiations have hit an impasse, and they have said, well, industrial action it is. We met with the Prime Minister. He then met with Port, and then the Prime Minister met back with our team and said, well, they are not budging, and essentially there's nothing I can do. And so we came back to our members with that position. We have been in that holding pattern since then. So our position of writing this letter for us is just, we met with our general foreman, they instruct us. And so this is a position that they have brought to us. We put it to you, and then your position is first to ignore it. And then on top of that, when the matter flares up, as we knew it would, if you understand the emotions, I mean, we are constantly getting our members asking us, when are we going to do something? And especially when they are of the view right now that if you don't make noise, you don't get heard. Nobody studies your situation. Everybody feels like you are good. Everything is good. So when they saw how matters kind of resolved up north, they're like, well, we'll draw for the fire.
PBL noted in their response that both Raymond Rivers and Sean Middleton, quote, resigned at their own will, and PBL accepted those resignations. That process is final and closed, unquote. With this, PBL noted that they will not be hiring or rehiring anyone. Hyde shot back that it has been common practice for stevedores with specialized skills to leave for extended periods and then return to job in a situation of necessity.
There is a legitimate, well-founded reason why the general foreman said, listen, we need these 2 guys back. Yeah. And so we can understand, unless it is you are dealing with personality, right, and you are dealing with some kind of spite. But we're not approaching it like that. We are saying, listen, this is recommended by our general foreman. And then you are going to tell us that we are having an illegal action when it is, we put forward our 21-day notice in July of 2021, which we have not rescinded.
You know me, right? You don't know me. You're supposed to answer that question. Either one of the most controversial, hated man by the Port of Belize.
CEO of the port, Andy Lane, told News 5 he will have a comment for us on Friday. In cabinet news, the Minister of Education reported that all schools are being closely monitored for any potential COVID-19 outbreaks. During the first week of classes, the Ministry of Health data confirms 313 cases affecting teachers and 456 cases among students. The majority, however, had not been involved in hybrid learning. Cabinet gave its approval for a bill to amend the Indictable Procedures Act to add offenses that can be tried by a judge alone and for pleas to be taken virtually. Offenses to be added are abduction of a child, sexual offenses, offenses under the Trafficking in Humans, and offenses under the Prohibition of the Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Children Act. Cabinet also gave its approval for the introduction of legislation for the repeal and replacement of the Libel and Defamation Act, and will seek the approval of the National Assembly to strike a balance between the prosecution of the reputation of an individual and the freedom of speech and expression in order to modernize the law of the tort of libel and slander. In an effort to reduce the upsurge in traffic accidents, the Department of Transport Enforcement Unit will increase the number of officers and the fleet that patrols all highways. Finally, Cabinet gave its approval for legislative changes to the Money Lenders Act and Money Lenders Regulations for improved transparency and accountability, as well as to strengthen entry barriers for new and existing money lenders. Up next, the COVID Chronicles. Seniors stay connected during the pandemic. Stay with us.
What is the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine? The Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is an RNA vaccine that triggers our immune system to develop antibodies against the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes COVID-19. It helps to reduce hospitalization, severity of the disease, and death. What is the Pfizer vaccine made of, and is it safe? The Pfizer vaccine is made up of mRNA messenger ribonucleic acid, which are molecules that carry the genetic information needed to make proteins, lipid, salts, and sugar. It is safe for persons 12 years and older and does not contain the COVID-19 virus, hence cannot cause infection. Tests have shown that the vaccine is effective against current virus variants. Who should take the Pfizer vaccine? The Pfizer vaccine should be taken by persons 12 years of age and older who do not have severe allergic reaction after a previous dose of vaccine or have not had severe allergic reaction to any ingredient of this vaccine. 2 doses of the vaccine are required 3 weeks apart. If you are between the ages of 12 and 17 years, you are required to present a signed consent form before you are vaccinated. What are the side effects of the Pfizer vaccine? Some common side effects of the Pfizer vaccine are headache, fatigue, muscle pain, fever, chills, and swelling at the injection site. If side effects persist, contact your doctor as soon as possible. Does the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine prevent infection and transmission? No, vaccination alone does not prevent infection and transmission. We are still required to continue to wear masks properly, physically distance, wash and sanitize hands often, practice proper coughing and sneezing hygiene, and avoid crowds.
The ministry is collaborating with SpeedNet Communications to have a vaccination campaign for children ages 12 to 17 years. Children who get vaccinated will get a chance to win fabulous prizes, including backpacks with supplies, Nintendo Switch, tablets, book tuitions, and MiFi with 3 months data. Only children 12 to 17 years old can participate in this smart and Ministry of Health and Wellness raffle. At vaccination sites, each vaccinated child, upon being vaccinated, will receive a ticket to place their name, age, date of birth, BHIS number, and contact information on, which will be filled out by a parent or legal guardian. The sooner a person vaccinates, the more chances he or she will have to win. Get vaccinated, Belize. Vaccination saves lives.
Connecting people. Creating memories.
Hey guys, so here we are at the Glaze Out Kitchen. I just prepared this amazing broccoli.
Sharing a smile. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
The elderly population is among the most vulnerable when it comes to the COVID-19 virus. That is why major efforts have been made to safeguard this population through vaccines and isolation. But any person within this demographic or Belizeans at large knows all too well the stresses that come with being isolated during lockdowns or just staying home to avoid exposure. But any type of human interaction helps to ease this burden, which is why social media platforms and communication apps like WhatsApp, Messenger, and Zoom have become even more popular over the last 2 years. But are older folks being left behind in this fast-sweeping digital wave? And what more can be done to bridge this digital literacy gap? News 5's Paul Lopez takes a closer look in this week's COVID Chronicles.
Being isolated for long periods can take a significant toll on anyone's social life. But if you are an elderly person, it can be even more difficult. This is where technology, digital literacy to be exact, can play a role to help maintain connections with loved ones, friends, community groups, current news, and even provide entertainment. What does an elderly person, what sort of business do they have on being on Facebook, being on Instagram?
Being on WhatsApp?
I don't know. Sometimes I look and I see, oh, Don Pablo is on Facebook. What is he doing on Facebook? He's like 72 years old.
But why shouldn't Don Pablo be on Facebook? Everything is happening on Facebook. All the sales are happening on Facebook. All the music videos are launching on Facebook. All the news items are coming out on Facebook. Don Pablo needs to be on Facebook, right. Otherwise he'll be left behind. For older people, the disruption in their lives that has been what has happened with COVID has created huge pockets of isolation, of being left alone, of being broken from their society.
Ishel Pott and the Council on Aging has been partnering with CITO to expand digital literacy among the elderly population in Belize.
So one of the things that the council did is we've been running, or within the last 2 years, we've been running digital literacy courses with the support of CITO. CITO really came on board for us. They, through their training unit, Ms. Delcy Koo and our program officer, Ms. Shireen Rivero, they developed a curriculum, a very basic curriculum, which looks at how we increase the digital literacy of older persons and then maintain their safety.
The online modules teaches those who have never done it before to set up their email address, use the popular social media platforms, shop online, pay bills, and do online banking, even how to detect scams. The Belize Cancer Society, Belmopan branch, took advantage of this training after quickly discovering their membership was having a hard time transitioning to online Zoom meetings.
Since we had decided that we would conduct all our business virtually, all our meetings virtually, we knew that it was important. And when we saw the problems that some members were having, when we would have a meeting and they say, well, I can't get in, I get in, but me phone run hot and all this sort of thing like that and whatnot. And we said, let's see if we could make it possible so that everyone could participate.
Most older people may not set out to become TikTok famous or Instagram influencers, but some find themselves having fun and developing followers.
She make it. She make it clap.
But the average person is simply seeking to navigate the internet and new forms of communication easily. If you're selecting a device for yourself or a loved one, POT recommends you take screen size and visibility into consideration. A tablet-sized touchscreen is ideal. Still, some prefer the simplicity of a flip phone. But whatever device or program, ultimately, it is social in social media that matters the most.
I am in a WhatsApp group for our Senior Steps Club. And those ladies do all kinds of things. I have no idea how they know how to do it. And they are more active than some of my other groups. You know, they encourage each other. They are polite. They share the happenings. I think yesterday they all tapped into a Johnny Cake sale somewhere, and they know everybody, and they're coordinating who's picking up for who and what's happening where, and they're maintaining a sense of community. Now imagine if these older persons didn't have access to WhatsApp, didn't have access to the internet. What would be their alternative now that everything has changed?
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
And as the COVID-19 pandemic continues, giving people of all ages access to virtual platforms matters even more. So today, reach out to someone you think might be feeling isolated. Add them to your group or show them how to connect to what interests them most and to the people they want to talk to. For digital literacy to have a far-reaching effect, however, the conversation surrounding digital equity must also remain at the forefront. Digital equity in this context refers to older persons' access to digital devices, access to affordable internet, and access to education. Ishel Pott says Belize as a nation is a long way off from achieving this among the most vulnerable.
So older persons do have a challenge when it comes to affording certain things that we take for granted. I mean, who thinks about having a cell phone now without having internet access? For an older person, something like that might really be a luxury, something that I can't necessarily afford on my income. So in the original proposals, in the original concepts, we were looking at how do we source these things. And reaching out time and time again, what we heard at the council is, oh, this isn't an area of priority. And it's also because when we think about older persons and we think about service, we consider only certain things a priority. We consider, oh, well, if I could give the older person a food basket, that is a priority. If I can donate some Pampers, that is a priority. And those things are important, of course. But if it is not a tangible service-oriented things, the things that we conceptualize as an older person needing, then it is not important as such. And it's like anything that doesn't fit what is our stereotypical view of an older person. So we don't think about older people weightlifting. We don't think about older people dancing. We don't think about older people running marathons. And we definitely don't think about older people becoming social media stars or wanting to influencers or wanting to do TikTok videos or any of those things. We don't think about those things because that doesn't fit into our concept of who an older person is. And because of those things, those ideas, those mindsets, we find that we are really just at the tip when we talk about digital equity.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Annalyn Apollonia. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.